Hello and welcome back to Quarterlight. Today we're going to look at an Italian classic, the Fiat Strada. The Strada was launched in April 1978 and ran until 1988. Though we're going to really particularly look at the first generation, which ran until 1982. It was styled by Sergio Sartorelli and was known by different names in different markets. Ritmo was the real Italian name and was used in Europe, and Strada was more used in the UK, the US and Canada. There was also the Fiat Ritmo for the Spanish market. It was available in 3-door and 5-door, and there was also a Cabrio that came out later. I always remember at the time the main advertisement slogan was "Built by Robots," because it was like one of the first cars that had the body welded by a robot production line, which of course is nothing unusual today. Now, the Fiat at the time wasn't really well regarded when it first came out, although as we'll look at the design principles today, it really is actually a good looking and well designed small car. The brochure we're going to look at is from September 1982, so like I say, it's going to be that first generation model, which I think is the most attractive variation of the Strada anyway. When we're talking about the Strada, it was initially going to be called the Fiat 138, and it did replace the Fiat 128, although later on they decided to lose the numbers and went for the Fiat Ritmo. Ritmo was really referring to kind of like a word referring to rhythm. Strada was referring to the Italian word for road. But anyway, let's move on and actually have a look at the brochure and see what we can see. Okay, here we have it then, the Fiat Strada brochure. This particular brochure is from September 1982, so it is that first generation. The later generation had a slightly different front end treatment with twin headlamps, and you can't see it at the back though, but these are small headlights, tail lights, and the generation 2 had a larger tail lights. But I think this first generation is the best looking out of the Stradas. Particularly unusual little features like these little round grab handles. It actually came second in the European Car of the Year award at the time. Everyone really wanted hatchbacks. Volkswagen had brought out the Golf, which was selling very well as a practical small car. Everyone really wanted to jump on that bandwagon. The car that actually came first in the Car of the Year in '78 was the Talbot Horizon, a similar sort of design concept with them practical hatchback. So that was very much the car of the time and what people really wanted. Although the Strada wasn't really well received, particularly in the UK. I don't think at sort of like the late 70s, early 80s, people really didn't want rounded cars. We were so used to very square vehicles. I kind of like think of the Sierra taking over from the Cortina being a very square vehicle, the Sierra being rounded, and it was a little bit of a mixed reaction when it came out. Similar to this one, the early Fiats were very boxy designs. These were much rounded off. Although if we look back in time, a really advanced design and a really good design that was actually came out possibly a little bit before its time. So let's have a look inside the brochure and see what we can see. So inside it's really showing the interior shots, if you will. This is like the more basic 65CL with a basic functional interior, and this is like the higher spec Super Strada with this much larger electronic display and a different steering wheels. Italians obviously never really known for their fantastic electronics, but nevertheless a much improved interior to the more basic model. You did find that the exterior colours determined what the interior colours were. So this is kind of like a metallic blue colour. So in turn you got this blue interior. I think you got white, royal blue, this sort of metallic blue, and silver would mean you got the blue interior. This more beige interior would have been this sort of Rosso red colour, light blue, green, and you got this sort of beige colour. And then I think there was also a brown interior if you had an orange, a grey or a copper coloured Strada. So like I said, the interior is very much determined, the exterior is very much determined what your interior colour was. The exception being this Strada 105 Twin Cam, which was a sports model at the time. Looks like a black interior on this, but like I said, this was kind of like your sporty version, so even the front end was slightly different with these fog lights on them. And this particular one was only available as a 3-door. Okay, and then finally we've got this back page, which I've kind of like zoomed in as well as I can so you can see that. It's quite a difficult one to capture on camera due to the size. But basically this particular UK brochure is showing 4 different versions. So we've got the 65L and the 65CL. With Fiat cars, when we talk about 65, that's always the brake horsepower. So we've got a 65 brake horsepower basic trim and a 65 brake horsepower with a few extra interior options on there. The CL, the kind of like the better equipped version, which was the more popular model. In the earlier still versions in Italy, there was also a 60L and a 60CL. Now that was a 1.1 and that only had 60 brake horsepower. This is the 1300 with the 65 brake horsepower, as I said. Later on, there also became a 75CL. That was a 1.5 with again a 75 brake horsepower. And really that was reminiscent of the next model on, the Super Strada. That sort of 1.5 litre engine. Here it's showing 85 brake horsepower because they did improve it to get a bit more brake horsepower, and that became that Super Strada, available, like I say, in the UK. Further on still, there's the Strada Twin Cam, which we saw that red one earlier on. That's a 1.6 and that was 105 brake horsepower. In other markets that was known as a 105 TC, and like I say, what was only available as a 3-door car. They do also have a cabriolet, which is not shown in this brochure. They do also have the Abarth 125 TC. That was only available as a left-hand drive version only, and that was due to the exhaust tailpipe. They couldn't move it over to a right-hand drive. So, but that was, like I say, a 125, so that would be 125 brake horsepower, and that was a 2-litre engine. But like I say, that was a left-hand drive only option. So there we have it, the Fiat Strada. Like I say, I really loved the design of it. It wasn't so well regarded when it came out, but looking back, I think that was a really good design car. It was replaced in 1982 by the second generation with, like I say, some improvements to the front and rear end, and then replaced once again in 1985 by the third generation. Finally, it soldiered on until 1988 when it was replaced by the Fiat Tipo. What do you think? I think most of them, the main problem was, and it's a little bit unfair to say Fiat, but certainly Fiat of that time did have a lot of rust issues, but so did a lot of late 70s, early 80s cars. You don't see many of them on the road again because rust really took most of them away. In fact, I did hear one line, built by robots, preserved by enthusiasts, because that's really the only way any survived, was by enthusiasts really looking after them. Let me know what you think about the Fiat Strada. There will be more reviews and brochures coming up very soon. But thank you so much for watching Quarter Light once again. Please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you really soon. Take care.